So at this point, let's try to discuss the next organelle of the cell known as the ribosomes. So ribosomes, let's discuss first its structure. So in our illustration, we have the ribosome as part of the cellular structure. And as you notice, ribosome consists of two subunits. So this portion will be the large subunit. And then the next one, so this portion will be the small subunit. So all in all, ribosomes consist of two subunits, namely the large subunit and the small subunit. And both subunits are made up of ribosomal RNA or ribosomal ribonucleic acid along with proteins. And recall that the ribosomal RNA was actually derived from the nucleolus, which is the spherical body located within the cell's nucleus. Hence, ribosomes cannot be created without the nucleolus, since the nucleolus create the building block for the ribosome, which is the rRNA. So, in addition to that, when it comes to its major function, ribosomes can be compared to the food-producing factories. So they are the food-producing factories of the cell. So this is the comparison of the ribosome in a certain city. They can be compared to the food-producing factories. So the term food here actually refers to the proteins. Therefore, we can conclude that ribosomes, they are the organelles of the cell which are responsible for the production of proteins. Hence, its major role is for protein synthesis. The term synthesis means production. So there is a need to produce proteins. So to make it simple, why is it that proteins in which these biomolecules must be produced within the cell? Recall in your grade 10 science class that proteins, as compared to the other biomolecules like carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acid, proteins are considered to be the most abundant biomolecule. Okay, it is the most abundant biomolecule within the body system of all organisms. So most of the compositions of the body system of an organism, from animals, humans, plants, and other microorganisms, they are made up of proteins. So most of the content of the body system of an organism are made up of proteins. And in addition to that, proteins must be produced because it play a vital role when it comes to the concept of life. Okay? So proteins have several functions. For instance, proteins can act as enzymes, in which they can speed up the chemical reaction. And in addition to that, proteins can act as a major defense of the body system. Therefore, the antibodies that were actually produced by the immune system, they are made up of proteins. Hence, they are used for body defense. In addition to that, another function of protein is that it is used for the storage of some important substances. Likewise, proteins are used for the transport of important nutrients. For instance, you have hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is actually a protein that transports oxygen all throughout the body. So, in addition to that, another thing is that proteins can act as hormones. like insulin, glucagon, vasopressin. All of these are examples of hormones in which they coordinate with all the other activities within the body system. So, in addition to that, they can act as receptors, meaning to say, proteins can receive signals from the other cells through the process of cell communication. So, in addition to that, proteins are used for body movement. For instance, our muscle, for instance, are made up of proteins and it is used for the body movement. And then the last but not the least, proteins form the structural unit of an organism. The nails, the hair, the hooves, even the spider webs and the cocoons, all of these are made up of proteins. So, in conclusion, proteins are very essential when it comes to the living organism because it plays a wide variety of roles in order to sustain life. So this is the main function of the ribosome, that is to produce proteins.